Ready to dominate at the plate? Blast Baseball is trusted by more major league and college teams than any other hitting solution. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1 at checkout to save $25. All right, everybody, it is 9 o'clock. Let's get right into it. We do this show every Monday through Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitter Spaces. I'm Alan Gay, and this is Now D1 Speaks. I'm super excited. I'm super excited every night when we do this, but I'm especially excited tonight. We have got Danny Prebeck joining us. He is a 23 committed prospect, and really happy to be talking to him. So, hey, Danny, are you out there?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Really looking forward to tonight. Why don't you introduce yourself and maybe kind of let us know about your graduation year, GPA, your high school, a summer team if you're playing with them, and maybe, hey, man, how'd you get into playing baseball?
Yeah, so obviously my name's Danny Prebeck. I go to Chapin High School, which is about 30 minutes out from Columbia, South Carolina, which is is the capital of the state. It's where USC plays. All the big football games happen. I believe I was able to finish with a 4.1. Growing up, there was always a big emphasis on doing well in school, getting A's and B's, and just getting as many A's as you can. And people don't really realize when it comes to recruiting how important GPA is, especially when it comes to getting money at schools. Baseball scholarships, unless you are really, 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 really good, are tough to get a high percentage of money. And having a good academic record really, really helps with that, and it makes you very appealing to coaches as well. It shows that you're not only willing to do the work, off the field, but on the field as well. And the academic part is arguably the harder part because it's the part you enjoy a lot less than playing. So in the summer team I most recently played with was this team is called Body Shot Baseball. The guys who ran it, they run a baseball academy called P27 Academy. They have guys from all around the world. They come, they play baseball, they do school there, and these kids are all going to good Division I schools, good Division IIs, great JUCOs, and iron sharpens iron. And obviously it helped me tremendously. Being around all those guys in the summer, and being around all those coaches. The coaches do a great job with connections. They have great college and pro experience. They're willing to do anything to help you as long as you're willing to put in the work. And that was a great experience for me. But beyond that, how I got into baseball was actually after playing soccer. I realized how terrible I was with my legs. So I decided to kind of switch it up and use my arms instead. My dad grew up a Yankees fan, so I grew up a Yankees fan. We used to live up north. And my goal was always to be like Derek Jeter and wear number 2, play up the middle. Obviously, plans kind of changed there because I pitch now. But, that kind of changed when I started playing more competitive, which when I was around 12, 13 years old. So, yeah.
Hey, man, great rundown. Thank you so much for that background. I'm very well aware of where Chapin is. I'm down here in Orlando, Florida, but I'm originally from Augusta, Georgia, and I have family that lives in Irmo, South Carolina. So, man, I'm absolutely familiar with that area. A ton of athletes, great place to grow up. How long?
Yes.
Hey, so you were born in New York. How long were you actually in Chapin?
So I was actually born in Connecticut, but my grandparents lived in upstate New York, so we spent a lot of time there. But naturally, Yankees were the closest professional baseball team, and so yeah. But we moved to South Carolina when I was 8. We lived in Myrtle Beach for a year, rented a house, and then when I was 9, we moved to Chapin. And I always knew coming in. My dad had told me when I was young, and I remember it. He was like, the baseball down south it's different. Like, it's a different beast. It really is. And especially in the region that we are in Chapin, is 5A. We got powerhouse schools everywhere. You got Dutch Fork, River Bluff, White Note, Lexington. Like these kids are all really great players, are all very competitive schools. So yeah, definitely the area is a different beast for
I
sure.
love it. So, Danny, you've been down here since you were 8 years old. I mean, you're 18 now or so, 17, 18, 10 years you've been living
Yeah,
here. You're a Southern kid now. I love it.
yeah,
No question.
yeah. A little
That's
bit more
exactly.
southern.
You've got South Carolina and you have Clemson all hosting. Little old South
Yeah,
Carolina's got 3 teams hosting. Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. And I also kind of want to add, I'm very familiar with P27. And the reason I'm so familiar with them, and it is literally big time baseball. My son went to TNXL, and so I
Hmm.
mean that's direct rivalry right there.
Yeah, yeah. And you watch those games, and those kids are they're really, really talented, really, really hardworking, and it's like watching a professional baseball game. You go there, and the scouts are all out there, and if you can really play, they'll find you for
No
sure.
question about it, brother. Hey, so well, let me ask you, what position do you play? And you kind of made reference to, leaving your legs behind. So I kind of got a feeling what position you do play. But let me ask you, what are your strengths? And then maybe what's a couple things that you really want to be working on over the summer?
Yeah, so I'm a right-handed pitcher. I would say one of my strengths is definitely my delivery. It's not your traditional, up down stride, come straight over the top. Uh, I'm a little I move pretty quick. I'm very fast twitch. I believe the faster I move, the faster I'll throw. Obviously, moving in a quick and controlled manner is the key to it. But a lot of it's my arm slot. It's like a 3/4 and almost like a sidearm, and especially for right-handed batters, it's a difficult at bat because my fastball has a lot of horizontal movement and it'll run in. And when I'm really on, you have that fastball running in, and then I could start that slider at your hip, and it'll break into the zone. If I want to backdoor the slider, I can put it right on the inside corner. That's definitely a strength. That gives guys a lot of problems. One of my weaknesses is definitely I'm a relief closer type of guy, and you have that all that adrenaline coming in from the pen, and sometimes you get out there and you have kind of an adrenaline dump. You get through an inning, you get back to the dugout, you sit down, and you stand back up to go after the next inning. You've just lost all of your energy, and it makes it a lot more difficult when you can't get going. So definitely controlling my energy levels is something I need to work on, and with that, keeping consistent control of all of my pitches through more than one inning. Uh, control throwing strikes is so important. People worry about throwing hard, but a lot of times, especially in high school, if you throw strikes, people will get themselves out. And in the beginning of my high school season, I kind of made the mistake of thinking, I got to strike everybody out. I got to do this. But if you throw strikes, you're more likely going to strike more people out than if you're trying to strike people out. So yeah, that's what I would say for sure.
Hey, man, that's some good advice right there, too, the way you ended it. And I'm sitting here thinking, your delivery and the ball you're throwing sounds straight nasty. I mean, was it natural or did you work with someone to figure out how to throw the way you're throwing and have the action that you have?
Yeah. To be honest, there's a few different things that I messed around with. I I used to come more over the top. I tried to I looked up to Max Scherzer a lot as a pitcher, and I almost tried to mimic that. And for a little bit, it worked. And then I had, I got a little stronger. My body started moving faster, and I couldn't really time it up anymore. My body was completely out of sync. And, I don't know really what happened, but I just started throwing that way. And it really clicked. It just worked, and I stuck with it. There was never really a point in time where somebody told me, "Hey, you need to throw like this," but you need to throw strikes, and whatever adjustment you need to make. Everybody's different, and whatever adjustment you need to make to do so. And that was just the adjustment I made, and it worked out really well for me.
Heck yeah, man. You had to find what worked for you. Absolutely. And obviously you did. So you're a 23 graduate. I mean, generally speaking, we've talked to some 23s, but the majority of the guys that we've really talked to so far are 24 uncommitted. And as the summer rolls along, we're going to be talking to a lot more 25 uncommitteds. So it's really cool to talk to a 23. My understanding is you literally graduated, you had your ceremony today.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of give us, yeah, hey man, tell us a little about it. Like how was it? And then the big thing is, if you're a 23 graduate, hey man, are you committed? And if you're committed, where are you going?
Yeah, so graduation was great. It was definitely a surreal experience. I had trouble sleeping last night because I it's like the end of an era. You don't really know how to feel about it. You get there, you walk across the stage, and you throw that cap in there, and you look back, and it's like, man, it's over. It's and it went by in the blink of an eye. Um, you don't. It doesn't feel like it's going by fast when you're in the moment, but when you're done and you look back, I mean, it went by quick. It's pretty scary. But it started. The graduation was early. Ceremony started at 8. We had to be there at 6:45 for preparations, and then I was up at 5:15. So I'm feeling a little bit right now for sure. I took a little nap earlier, so I'm all right. But I'm committed to Limestone University. It's a Division II in Gaffney, South Carolina, which is kind of near Spartanburg, which is another big point in South Carolina. But yeah, I'll be moving in there August 18th. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to get started there. It's a really great fit for me. I've gotten in touch with the guys there, and we all have a similar mission, and we're all getting along really well because of it. And I'm really excited about it.
Hey man, that's so cool, man. One, thanks for being with us. You've been up since 5 in the morning or 5:45 in the morning. Absolutely appreciate you. We had talked, gosh, I guess we had talked a couple of weeks ago or so about potentially doing this interview. And I don't know how we came up on this date. That's amazing that it was the same day that you graduated. Absolutely appreciate you being here
No,
very
thank
much with us.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so congratulations. And Spartanburg and Limestone, my goodness, that's a beautiful area. That's upstate South Carolina. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty close to Greenville. I
Yep.
mean, that is
There's a lot of
gorgeous, gorgeous.
yeah. That was one of the most attractive parts of it is you're pretty close to everything. If you want to go do something fun, you're right there for the most part. You're 30 minutes away from multiple different places where you can go do things. And yeah, that was definitely a big part of my decision going there.
No doubt. I don't blame you one bit. One thing that I kind of had to laugh at, and I'm glad I had it on mute when you said it, and I can feel for you too. You said you walked across the stage and that was kind of it. And you looked back and you were like, wow, that went by fast. Man, I got to tell you, Danny, just wait till you have kids. You want to know when time goes by fast? Wait till you have kids. Time really flies. My daughter just graduated from college, and I was sitting here thinking, "You got to be kidding me." We just went to her ceremony a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, "You got to be joking me." I mean, she was just a baby, and now she's graduated. So it does go by fast, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, try to live in the moment the best I can. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you mentioned one thing that was pretty cool that you're already having a little bit of contact with the other recruits that are coming in, and I, just kind of give us a little bit of a flavor of what that's like, because again, our core audience is really uncommitted kids. They're excited about what their future is going to look like, and one of the really cool things is when you come in to a new school, a new program. Well, you're not walking in by yourself. There's other recruits that are coming in as well, and they're from other parts of the country. And I have to believe that you guys are probably already reaching out to each other just a little bit. And then when you show up together, it's kind of a cool experience. So, hey, man, have you had an opportunity to maybe connect with a couple of those guys?
Yeah. We have a little group chat on Snapchat. We've had it for a few months now, and it's really cool. We'll have new guys get added every once in a while, and a lot of we've already started building relationships, even though we haven't necessarily met each other. Guys from all around the country. Schools recruit kids from everywhere. Like I said, if you can play, they will find you, no matter where you are. We have kids from Florida, kids from Vermont. Maybe from north to south, we have kids, and getting to hear everybody's different situations. I mean, we'll joke about. We have a buddy named Evan. in Vermont, we joke about the snow that he's had up until what feels like last month. I mean, it's ridiculous. No, and then we'll have kids in Florida who are on jet skis in January. So, we all enjoy talking to each other, and we're all on the same mission, was to just make as big of an impact as we can, and we're obviously going to do our best to do that. And as much as we are friends, is a sense of competition amongst each other, like who's going to be the best here, who's going to make the biggest impact, and who's going to make it happen. And obviously everybody's got a great mindset. I believe I'll be the hardest worker, and there's other guys I believe they'll be the hardest workers and they'll be the best. And I think that's what makes it a great recruiting class and a great team, is that everybody wants to be just as good, if not better, than the other person. Iron sharpens iron, and it's a special connection for sure. It's something that I looked forward to during my recruitment process, of being able to get to know guys also going to my school, and now it's happening, and it's great.
That is so cool, man. I'm just sitting here smiling the whole time because it's exciting, and I'm so happy for you to be able to experience that. And I can feel the energy just kind of coming through your voice, looking forward to what's coming up,
Mm-hmm.
here in August and September, special time in your life. And there's no question, excuse me, there's no question that the guys that are coming in are pushing each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what you want, 100%. Really, really cool. Hey, anybody that's joined late, absolutely appreciate you jumping in here. We record these spaces, and you'll be able to hear it in its entirety. We'll retweet it back out. So thank you for joining. We certainly appreciate your support. Hey, tonight, just for anybody, hey, we're speaking with Danny. Danny is a 23. He's committed. He's going to Limestone. Kind of give us an idea. What was the history of your process for recruiting? How did it go? And then ultimately, really, what led you to say, yeah, Limestone is the fit for me? This is absolutely where I want to go.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. For a long time, I was an undersized kid. Going into freshman year of high school, I was like 5'2", 5'3", a chubby kid. And really until junior year, I really did not grow. I was kind of a late bloomer in some ways, and part of that was due to my lack of hard work, and some of it was due to injuries. The winter of my freshman year, I had an ankle surgery, which kind of canceled out my freshman spring, which would have been canceled out regardless. That was a COVID year. But the rehab and not being able to work out or throw, that definitely took a toll. And then 6 months later, I was playing in the summer, and I completely bowled a bone out of the growth plane in my elbow when I was pitching, and that hurt. I'll tell you, if anybody's broken a bone or done something like that, I mean, it's hurt. It's no blast. So I had another surgery with that, and that basically took up my entire year. That was basically a year's worth of rehab. And that was mentally and physically exhausting, constantly rehabbing, and the mental effects injuries have on you are absolutely no joke. But my sophomore spring, I was actually cut from my school team. And again, a big part of that was me being very undersized, and the other guys had simply outworked me. And it's one of those things that's difficult because but when you grow up and baseball is your identity, it's like you get that stripped away from you. It's like embarrassing. You feel vulnerable. It's like the best way I could describe it is like you're in public and somebody pulls your pants down when you're not expecting it. It's it's the worst way to feel. And when you feel that way, you never want to feel that again. Especially if you're in the right mindset of wanting to prove people wrong and prove yourself right, you never, ever, ever want to experience that feeling again. It makes you sick. So after I was cut, literally 2 weeks later, I started working with a guy who was the P27 pitching coach at the time, and we worked on everything from strengthening, mobility, pitch arsenal, velo training, 3-4 times a week, every week for a year and a half. And you got to be disciplined. That was a 45-minute drive for me. I had school going on. We would schedule it late sometimes. We'd schedule it early sometimes. And, you got to have not even the motivation. Motivation only gets you so far. You need to have discipline and consistency. And I was so I was angry to be great. So that really worked out for me. And he was willing to work with me as long as I was willing to work. And, he put up with all of my difficulties and setbacks. And, there would be days where I was great. There'd be days where I was terrible. And, he was really patient with me. But that sophomore spring to my junior spring, I took my fastball from 74 to like 80, 83, 84. So then I decided to skip tryouts for my school baseball season, my junior spring, because I wanted to keep velo training. Like during the high school season, you kind of have to plateau with your strengthening a little bit because you got that game schedule. You're playing 3 games a week, and you won't really have time to work out. And if you go work out, you're probably going to be sore because you haven't had a consistent schedule, and the last thing you want to do is be sore going into a game. So skipping that season and continuing to work took me from 84 to 86. And that summer, I was just carving guys up. I was going out just completely confident. I'd tell my teammates, I'm going to strike out the side here, and I would do it. There's videos of me, out there pitching, and somebody from the dugout would be like, he said he was going to strike out the side. Let's see if he does it. And I'd do it, and I'd do it again and again. And that's the velo and my performance kind of started to put me on the map with it got the attention of a few schools, and I definitely reached out a little bit. And then we were going down to Atlanta for a WWBA tournament, and my head coach with Body Shop, Corey Warner, he was like, "Hey man, what about Limestone?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, please." Yeah, it's like, please. I was chopping at the bit, and he called Coach Kimmel for me, and Coach Kimmel reached out. We, I scheduled a visit, and I threw a pen there. And let me tell you, when I threw that pen, that was the most nervous I've ever been. It was, me on the mound, head coach, assistant coach standing right behind Coach Harker and Coach Kimmel. And, that was a nerve-wracking experience for sure. But I was able to hold it together, and I was able to get the opportunity there. And, the coaching staff there is absolutely phenomenal. It's the former coaching staff from Furman. Whenever COVID came, their program got cut and they never brought it back. But that entire coaching staff is so knowledgeable, and it was a very attractive part of the program. There's really, in my opinion, there's really not anywhere better I could be as far as a development standpoint goes. And the facilities were very nice, especially for Division II. There's a lot of Division II schools you see with terrible facilities. There's some with really nice ones, and Limestone just happened to be a nice one. And, I'm very lucky about that. And the academics were also, better than most Division IIs as well, which is also very attractive. So I couldn't turn down the opportunity. I had to take it, and, I'm very blessed for that.
Man, Danny, I tell you what, this interview could take a couple hours. I mean, there's so many follow-up questions. I mean, that was phenomenal to kind of listen to that overview. And I want to make sure that everybody that was listening kind of really appreciates, your journey and really what you went through. I mean, it's quite phenomenal. The first thing that pops out to me, and I have to look at it. I mean, I played baseball as a kid. I wasn't any good. I played baseball in high school. My son was certainly a lot better than me, and his career progressed into a college career as well. But I look at everything through parents' eyes, and I'm trying to envision your situation, your injury, you being cut from the team, and then almost immediately, instead of quitting, I think it would have been just so easy to quit right there. And I would love to know just a little bit more insight as to, what really turned you on to P27 and to start taking those lessons. And it wasn't really lessons. It's probably more physical therapy than anything else. What kind of led you to say, I'm not quitting? You made the one comment about it was like angry, you were angry.
Yeah.
But I mean, how did you kind of rally your parents' support as well? Because there's a financial obligation that goes along with this, and as I'm saying, I'm just being honest here. I'm looking at it through a dad's and a mom's vision. How did you go from being cut to saying, "Hey, man, I'm not giving up. This is what I want to do"?
Yeah. I was cut, and I didn't believe I deserved to be cut. To this day, I probably still believe that, but in reality is if I was really good, I wouldn't have gotten cut. And, my parents have always been so supportive of me. They've poured so much time, energy, and money into me, and I couldn't be blessed with, greater parents. But, I told my dad, I was like, look, if you invest in me, I'm going to make it happen. I promise you, I'm going to work at this nonstop. And, there's probably an ounce of him that didn't believe me, but, I started literally the week after I got cut. I took some time off. The week after I got cut, I was at it every night. I was throwing piles against my wall. I was going to the gym. I was doing everything in my power to make it happen, and that definitely, got his belief going in me. And then he was able to, trust me enough to make a stronger investment and a good pitching coach. And, people will play for programs and go to coaches that may not know a ton of stuff. And part of it is not just working hard, but working really smart. Some people work really hard, but they don't make a lot of progress because the work that they're doing just isn't beneficial for what they should be doing. Baseball lifts and baseball workouts are completely different from football lifts or wrestling lifts or anything like that. The guy I worked with, he's actually the assistant coach and recruiting coordinator at College of Charleston now, Sawyer Bridges. And he played at Carolina, and he just knew so much. And, my parents were able to make that investment for me. And, Sawyer and I, we became really close. We almost became like friends, but, he would knuckle down on me if I ever started to slack. And, he never gave up on me. And I'm very grateful for that. But, when it was almost to the point where I was doing things out of spite. I was like, I'm gonna show you that you made a mistake, and I'm gonna prove to you that what you did was wrong, and what I'm about to do is gonna completely prove myself right. And there's a part of me that wanted to make the coaches that cut me look silly, and obviously in a way that I don't want to say I did that, but I did. I accomplished exactly what I wanted to the best of my ability with the time that I had. And it's a very it's delayed gratification is special. And yeah, I mean, just I would always envision, how I would feel whenever I accomplished that goal and was able to be like, yeah, I did it. I did it, and you can't take that away from me. You can't take away the hours of work I put in, the discipline I had, the determination I had. And, at the end of the day, I said, if I can't find a school to play for, at least I can say I tried, and I'll have no regrets. And, fortunately, it worked out for me. And, I definitely don't have any regrets now.
Hey, thank you so much for your candor and just your honesty and just the realness of what that is. I can absolutely appreciate it. It sounds like you got extremely supportive parents. They gave you just enough rope. You said you wanted to go out and try this, and they said, all right, we'll give you a little bit of rope. And you proved yourself to them first,
Mm-hmm.
And then they just continue to support you. I mean, what an unbelievable blessing that is. And
Yes.
then you proved it out to be true. And the thing that I thought that was so cool is how this story kind of progressed to you were so confident on the mound a year
Mm-hmm.
and a half later.
Mm-hmm.
2 years later, you're telling guys, look, I'm going to go out and strike out the side.
Mm-hmm.
And you were doing it. And to kind of think where you were to where that ended up. I mean, it is really quite amazing. And then you're just saying so many things that are really, really wise that you're going to be able to carry on for the rest of your life. The delayed gratification. It's not only the physical piece, but I'm sitting here thinking about your GPA. You graduated a 4.1. That's not easy work. I'm sure, there's a ton of work you're doing in the classroom that you probably didn't really want to be doing.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you did it. And that's the kind of thing that really leads to, just a successful life, honestly. I mean, when you are willing to put in the work when no one's really looking, that's the thing that really pays off down the road. And then you got a great story that you're going to be able to share with your kids one day. And, if they run into struggles, hey, you've got a real story to tell them, and it's not something you're making up. It's like, hey, let me tell you what I did. And you know, that'll be special. And that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Hey,
thank
the
you.
other thing I was sitting here thinking about too, just as a quick aside, you know, Limestone, beautiful areas up there in Spartanburg, D2. I got to assume one of their rivals has got to be North Greenville. You know what I mean? And North Greenville is really laying down a pretty nice little track record as well. So kind of a and I mean, just the hotbed South Carolina is. And I forgot all about College of Charleston. You threw that out there. I mean, South Carolina is absolutely loaded with baseball.
Yeah, it is for sure.
No
Yeah,
question, man.
yeah, no, yeah. North Greenville has, Limestone's had a couple of difficult years with a former coaching staff. These new guys have come in and they've really turned it around. I really do think this is a program that's going to be reckoned with. People are not going to want to mess with very, very soon. And, people can laugh about it now, but a couple of years from now when we're doing something seriously, seriously great, it's going to be no joke. And we will be I'm a firm believer that we will be competing with the top Division twos in the country. And, you know, maybe I'm, talking out of my behind, but I really do believe that. And I think the coaching staff and the recruits coming in are really going to make that happen. So I'm excited to see it.
Hey, that's awesome. I don't doubt you for a second. And I tell you what, it doesn't matter what division you're playing at. I mean, everybody that's going to be showing up in mid-August for their first day of classes that's going to be part of that baseball team going to be extremely talented. There ain't no doubt about it. Hey, I kind of want to roll back over to that 4.1 GPA. You know, tell me how you were able to balance your academic commitments with a ton of rehab work that you were doing, and then just a ton of velo work after that when you kind of got yourself in shape, and just regular baseball. I mean, that is a fantastic GPA. How did you combine those two? And then do you think you're going to use that same strategy kind of going forward here once you roll in as a freshman at Limestone?
Yeah. As you get older, you kind of realize you need to be more disciplined, and you can't procrastinate, especially when you have a lot going on. And to really utilize all your energy and devote it towards one thing, you need to take care of the stuff that's also really important, which is school. No matter what happens with your sport, you'll always have school, and you'll always have whatever you accomplish in the classroom, and that will help you be successful off the field. I try to map out my entire weeks of work before the week even starts and do everything incrementally. That's prevented a lot of procrastination and last minute cramming, and it's definitely something I'll take into college. I think it's the only right way to do it, is to plan out your week before it happens and try to portion out your work in the best way possible, so you're not overloading yourself, but also getting it done at the same time.
Definitely. And I think you made one comment earlier, maybe some of the guys, maybe they've gotten on late, but you made a really interesting comment when you were introducing yourself. You made a reference to how important your academic record is to baseball coaches, and really how that can help influence academic money and even influence who's going to be on the team or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And, if especially at a Division two, Division three school, like, they're not handing out athletic scholarships like that until you can prove your worth on the team. And if you want money at that level, you need to have good grades. I mean, if you want to go to a school and pay a lot of money, sure, have at it. But it's a lot more appealing for coaches when, you actually show that you care about things off the field. And if you can have discipline off the field, then your discipline on the field will be unmatched, because that's when you're having fun, and that's when you're enjoying yourself. It's a lot easier to be disciplined at things you enjoy. It's easy to be disciplined at eating junk food and playing video games, but it's not easy to be disciplined at taking AP classes and staying up late and to finish assignments and meet deadlines and get good grades on things that are really difficult. So if you can do that, it's a very appealing trait to have.
No doubt, man. Hey, anybody that's joining again, thank you so much. We absolutely appreciate you guys being on. I have posted a tweet from Danny. It's in the nest. If you just swipe up, you'll be able to get to it pretty quick. This is it's a tweet from Prospect Select, and it kind of really shows that nasty delivery that he's got. It's a couple of quick pitches there. But more importantly, if you just wanted to get in touch with him pretty quickly, you can just click that, take you to his profile page. And if you want to DM him, you can certainly get in touch with him. So you mentioned one of the coaches from Charleston, and you've talked about a couple of other coaches as well. But are there any other particular players or coaches that have really been influential in your development or even really in your recruitment?
Yeah. I would credit two people for sure. I'd credit for one, Coach Corey Warner. He's got all the connections in the world, and he's willing to make calls for you if you can prove that, you got what it takes to play at the next level, at whatever level he feels fit. And for me, that was a very good Division II program. And, he knew Coach Kimmel very well. He got me in touch. And, without him, I don't know where I would be, to be completely honest. I don't know what would have happened. So I'm obviously forever grateful for him. And two, is a kid I've been playing with for a long time. His name's Lucas Heiberger. He actually recently committed to USC Aiken, and his recruitment process was similar to mine. It was very difficult. He dealt with injuries as well, and he was never going to give up. And it was inspiring to be able to work with him and try to match his work ethic every day. And we made each other better. Like I said, iron sharpens iron. We made each other better every day. And again, without him, I also don't know where I would be. He's been great to learn things with. We're able to help each other on different things, and I'm blessed to have met him and been able to play with him. And now I get to play against him. So at some point, hopefully. So I'm looking forward to that.
Hey, man, that's really cool. Very cool. So Coach Bridges, just as a reminder, so he was the one that really kind of, as you were rolling into Atlanta, he gave you the heads up that potentially Limestone may be a good fit. And then he reached out to the coach.
That was Coach Corey. That was Coach Warner. Yeah.
That was Coach Warner. Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing? I mean, this is kind of the thing that always blows me away. I mean, there is so much talent across the country. There are so many kids that can absolutely play baseball. I mean, they've got fantastic skills. They've got great stats. They got great video, and they struggle to really be found. And it's got to be frustrating for these kids to be sitting here thinking, well, what else do I need to be doing? And I know it's got to be frustrating for the coaches as well at these programs. And it doesn't matter. I mean, you could be the highest of the highs, right? I mean, you could be the Vanderbilts and the Floridas of the world, but your recruiting budget is only so big, and you only have so much time to dedicate to recruiting. And I know that coaches are struggling to find players just as much as players are struggling to find coaches. It just seems like a weird dynamic, but that's the way it is. And you need people in your life that can reach out to a coach and say, hey, let me tell you about such and such player. And the coaches at these colleges really depend on that kind of recommendation. I mean, it's really incredible. And you are very, very fortunate to have been surrounded with just top-notch quality coaches, that were around you, that were well connected. Very, very fortunate.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, let me ask you, kind of on the mental piece too. And I want you to reflect on high school and how you think that you'll be able to handle this in college, because this is coming and it'll be a different dynamic. And the thing that always blows me away with high school is you're in a classroom for 7 hours or so, and then you kind of walk out of that classroom and you go right into a practice or a workout or a game. In college, I mean, your schedule's going to be a little bit all over the place. I mean, you're not going to have the exact same schedule day after day. You're certainly not going to be in class for 7 hours. You may do 7 hours worth of work, but you're not going to be in class for 7 hours. How do you think you're going to be able to prepare yourself mentally to kind of go from studying or sitting in an auditorium listening to a professor to really just kind of walking out onto a baseball field and performing?
You have to be able to separate the two. It's two very different things. You go to school and you need to be ready to do schoolwork and get good grades. But once you're on the field, you have to kind of forget about everything else and lock in. If you're focused on other things when you're playing, you're not going to be playing well at all. Your head needs to be in the game at all times, and that's so cliche, but it's so true. if you're not mentally there, then it's just not going to go well for you. And I know that, and I've always been willing to put in the work. And, I always take that mentality into school. It's, adapt or die. If you can't adapt to your surroundings, you're not going to be successful. And, you really have to want to be successful and be able to put in the work. And if you're not, then you won't be successful. So how bad do you really want it? And that's kind of the way I think about it.
It's good. Well, I got to tell you, one of my, I do a lot of retweeting of highlights of guys, and there's two tweets that I really love that are my favorite. And I love it when a guy is committed, because it really just kind of shows the work that they have put in to get to the point that they're realizing a part of their dream of their life. I think it's just such a big deal and so cool. I love to see those tweets. And then the second thing, I love it at the end of each semester when the baseball programs tweet out the team GPA. And I love those tweets. And some of these GPAs, it just kind of blows you away. I mean, you'll see, anything over 3.0 is going to be good. But you'll see some of these guys, some of these programs, they'll throw out a 3.2, 3.3, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, man, you've got freshmen, sophomore, junior, seniors of all different levels, all different backgrounds, all different capabilities, and they're coming together and having a team GPA of a 3.2. It's impressive. I mean, it's, and that doesn't just happen. You know what I mean? It takes a ton of work, not only, in the classroom and outside of the classroom to maintain that kind of GPA. You're stepping into a new world, Danny.
Yeah.
But I absolutely think you got the background and the work ethic that's going to lead you to be very, very successful. Hey, everybody, again, thank you so much for being here. Again, we do this Twitter Space Monday through Thursday. We do it live. I mean, Danny and I, we don't know each other. And we're just kind of talking through a story. And it's a fantastic story from where he was just a couple of years ago to where he is now. And that's why we're doing this talk. And but we take this Twitter Space and we turn it into a podcast. And the podcast is on literally every platform that you could possibly think of. It's now_D1 Speaks. I hope that you'll find it. You'll subscribe to it. And I absolutely would appreciate a 5-star rating too. So, hey, let's get back to you though, Danny. So what are going to be your goals? Maybe what are you trying to achieve over the summer? And then what are you thinking about over the next 4 years? What are your goals immediately this summer? And then what do you think you're going to be able to accomplish over the next 4 years?
Yeah, this summer it's basically just preparation for me. Continue hopefully velo training, strengthening, throwing, doing everything I can to make an immediate impact as soon as I get there. Limestone is a JV program. It's basically a year for development for guys, but I'm going to do my best and everything in my power when I get there to be on varsity. Whatever happens. But like I said, if you do your best and you put your best foot forward, only the best things can happen. I really do believe that. And if I can make an immediate impact there, that's definitely my goal. As far as long term goes, take this thing as far as I possibly can. I have something here and I'm just trying to run with it. As long as I can keep playing this kid's game, I'm going to. So yeah, that's it.
That's cool, man. I love it. So it's amazing. Competition never stops, does it? You know what I mean? You finally get committed, right? You're thinking, all right, I checked that off. Wait a minute. I gotta keep competing. I mean, it just never ends, and you brought it up several times. Iron sharpens iron. And it just literally never stops your whole life, honestly. Hey, what's your, and maybe you haven't decided, but what are you leaning toward majoring in?
Yeah, I think I'm going towards like business, finance. I'm trying to narrow down the business side. Everyone's got a general business degree. That can take you multiple different ways, but if I can narrow it down to maybe some like economics and finance, or I'm figuring it out still, and I'll probably figure it out more after my first semester there. But that's the way I'm leaning, is towards the business finance side.
That's good. Love it. Nothing wrong with that at all. Hey, Again, one more quick little plug here. Thank you for joining. Anybody that's listening live or anybody that's going to be listening on the podcast later. Generally speaking, we talk with uncommitted prospects, 23s, 24s, 25s, or even JUCO uncommitted. And if you have an interest in being part of this type of forum, please reach out to me. You can just DM me on Twitter. Again, I'm now_D1. I'd love to be able to schedule you. We are scheduled through at least mid June, maybe just a little bit later. But we're going to run this series all the way through the summer, so I know we could work out a date. Hey, Danny, now that you've been through the recruiting process, kind of looking back on it, I don't necessarily want you to kind of think about, I wish I had done something differently. But if you could maybe just kind of look at the overall, the way recruiting works, what would you maybe like to see changed or maybe improvements to the process?
Yeah, it's a difficult question, and everybody will have a different answer. But personally, I really don't feel like I can critique the process. I'm not a recruiter, and recruiters are going to do what they feel fit. The transfer portal makes things very difficult for younger guys to get recruited because it's a lot easier for schools to go in trusting grown men to come in and make an immediate impact. It's a lot easier for, a 20-plus-year-old to, a stronger guy to, perform. Schools really can rely on those guys to make something happen, and it's a lot easier to do than trusting a 17, 18-year-old kid. And that's just the way it is. And again, it's that adapt or die mentality for me. Like if you're not willing to adapt to the difficult recruiting process, then you're not going to get recruited. And that's just my personal position on it. Everybody wants to play, everybody has a dream, and everybody has a different journey. So that's what I would say about it.
Yeah, fair enough. I can absolutely appreciate that. And you're 100% right. The transfer portals have changed the game just a little bit. I was thinking about it today. You've got a ton of high school kids that are wanting to be recruited and they're trying to get noticed. They're going to camps, they're sending videos, they got coaches calling. And then at the same time, you have got JUCO guys that are eligible to transfer, after their freshman year, certainly. Then you've got guys that have finished their sophomore year. They have AAs. They're looking to transfer. They've got 2 years of eligibility left, maybe 3 years. And then you've got transfer guys all over the place. It's just, in many ways, just kind of flooding the market, and it's a different feel today than it was even just a couple of years ago. Transfer portals changed the game.
Yep.
Hey, last thing let's talk about, and then we'll kind of wrap it up here. If you could take a look at some younger kids that are just kind of coming along, kids that really are saying, hey, baseball is the way I want to go, what kind of advice would you give, a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid?
Yeah. I would say that you really have to want it. And, wanting it isn't just saying, oh, yeah, I want this. You got to be able to work. You got to be willing to work for it. And it's, if it was easy, everybody would do it. And that's why not everybody does it, because it's hard. It's an uphill battle. But if you're willing to, take the uphill hike, then you're going to do yourself a very good service. Not just working hard, but working smart is important. You need to work the right way. You know, only so many people get the opportunity to play at the next level. And if you're able to get there, it's an honor, it's an accomplishment. It's a different type of, like I said earlier, it's a different type of gratification. There will be guys that are more talented than you, but talent really only gets you so far. I've seen really talented kids fall off tremendously. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard every single day of the week. I'm a firm believer in that. And there will be people and coaches that will tell you can't do something. And, if you really want it, you take what's yours and you run for it for as long as you can, or run with it for as long as you can. That's definitely something I would say. And everybody's process is different. There are kids who commit in 8th grade. There are kids who commit their senior year summer. Some guys take a gap year, a post-grad, and commit after that. And, there's different ways. And, don't let other people commit and get you down, because everybody's journey is different. And if you really have it, people will find you. I promise you that if you just keep working hard and stay consistent and have discipline, anything can happen.
Man, that's great advice. There's nothing to add to that. I think you touched on everything. You couldn't have worded it any better. I think you're 100% right, Danny. And I think you're a great example of what you were saying. If any kid was struggling with that and they were thinking, oh, this is just words, I think they could kind of look at you and look at your last 2, 3, 4 years, and you've lived it out.
Yeah.
Hey, Danny, I got to tell you, man, I have really enjoyed tonight. We probably went a little longer than we normally do. I think most of these podcasts probably last about 30, 35 minutes. But man, you have just had a fascinating story. I think you give just a ton of insight to guys that are in high school that are really looking to go to the next level. I cannot thank you enough for reaching out and saying, hey, I'd like to be a part of this and just kind of share my story, because your story is fantastic. I mean, it's inspiring. It gives hope to other kids. If someone is down or if someone is injured and they really listen to what it is that you went through and apply that same day-to-day grind that you did, I think they've got an opportunity to be successful too. And I just give you a lot of credit, and just thank you again very much for coming on and sharing your story. I hope
Yeah.
you enjoyed it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's always, a fun thing for me to talk about, especially now. But, journey ain't over, and we keep rolling.
The journey's definitely not over. It's just beginning for you, man. And I have a feeling that you're going to take advantage of these next 4 years. I'm very, very happy for you. Hey, I will let everybody know tomorrow night we have an uncommitted coming back on. He's a 24. It's Jay Campbell. He plays out of the Panhandle up in North Florida. He plays with the travel ball team, NLB. Great athlete. Really looking forward to talking to him. I think we'll have a lot of fun. Again, anybody that is listening, please subscribe to Now D1 Speaks. You can find it on any platform, and we'd certainly appreciate a great rating as well. So, hey, Danny, thank you very, very much again, and I hope you have a good night.
Yep, you too. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good night, everybody. Hey, let me ask you something. Are you ready to dominate at the plate this season? Blast Baseball is the #1 hitting improvement solution, trusted by more major league, college, and travel ball teams than any other. The Blast sensor attaches to the knob of any bat, providing real-time feedback with every swing. Metrics are automatically sent to a smartphone app, generating insights that allow you to analyze and improve your hitting like never before. Go to blastmotion.com and enter code NOWD1 and you will save $25 at checkout. Unlock your potential with Blast.